Good morning, everybody.
Hey guys, just real quick. I was rewatching the video I did yesterday, JW's and Broken Promises. Why didn't you guys tell me my sideburns were uneven?
Dear, your sideburns are uneven.
Well, that's why I just trimmed them up. I hope I get them even.
You should wear your glasses. My goodness.
I should. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Source, dear friend, for the annual meeting, I think. And, thank you to the person who recorded it and sent it to him. Because, yes, this past Saturday, October 2nd, was the 2021 annual meeting. Wow. We've only gotten through the first talk and the new Sofia cartoon. So we're just going to cover that particular, talking cartoon in this video. And we may do some more. I'm sure there will be a lot more information in this annual meeting because, wow.
Well, we're doing this so you don't have to go through the pain that we went through.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But before we really get going on this, I want to make mention of a video that I watched from the, I'm not sure how, the...
Logic
channel, yeah.
Logica?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll put a link down below. The title of the video is The Origins of Yahweh. Now, those of us that have come out of Watchtower, done our research, we really get it. He's a volcano god. He's not God Almighty, because I've done scriptures showing that he's just a lesser god, yada yada yada. But what's interesting about this is this particular video was published September 30th, 2021. And what I find interesting, which goes back to what I've said before about look at the numbers of thumbs up versus the numbers of thumbs down. This gentleman in this video has got 907 thumbs up to 56 thumbs down. That should clue a lot of people into the fact that more people are gravitating to this type of research than the crap that's coming out of Watchtower's mouth.
Yeah. And while he's, talking about a video, I want to mention we actually, because our kids are Amazon Prime subscribers, they have signed us onto their, the Video Prime so that we can watch videos. And they have a mini-series. It's 4 episodes so far, season 1 of Planet Egypt.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I found it on YouTube, so I'm going to put the link down below. It's on the History Channel. And oh my goodness, I will have to re-watch this. And there's just so much information on there. But I believe it was episode 2 that I want to mention. And it was talking about the War of the Pharaohs. And that was really good because they were talking about Thutmose III and how he was the greatest warrior of Egypt. But I want to zero in on some history they were talking about. Apparently, back then, around 1300 and something BC. It was almost, 1400 BC.
I'm chuckling because I know where this is going.
He knows where this is going. They were talking about how surrounding nations around Egypt were envious. They were jealous of Egypt's riches, and because they had the Nile, they had plenty of food for everybody, and they wanted those resources and gold. And so all of those kings united and gathered together to attack Egypt. Well, Thutmose III heard about this, and he decided to gather his army and go out and meet them. Guess where he found all of the kings that had gathered together for this? Megiddo.
Megiddo. In the place in Hebrew that is called Harmageddon.
Now, when you're listening to this, think about Revelation and what it was saying about how all the kings of the earth were going to gather at this, Harmageddon, Megiddo, and how Watchtower uses it. Oh, well, this is talking about Armageddon. Well, if that's the case, then it happened back in the 14th century
Already
BC.
happened.
Because Tutmosis, he surprised them and showed up, and it's just an incredible, video, because they had gotten chariot plans from the Hittites. Well, they kind of improved on them. And they made these chariots to where they could take them apart and carry them across the desert. So guess what they did? It was very hard going, but they took these chariots apart. They had their horses, and they went through the mountains, which these kings that were all gathered at Megiddo weren't planning on. And guess what? Oh yeah, they just decimated them. So it's very interesting. So I'm going to put the link to that video down below. And, hopefully those of you who love history as much as we do will find it as interesting. Because, Mike was out in the shop working, and I says, Mike, you've got to come hear this. And he was like, oh my goodness. This isn't future of Armageddon. It's history.
It's history. But it's been re-encapsulated as if it's current history going to happen in the future. And it's interesting to know, because this was a good segue, because one of David Splane's talks during the annual meeting, guess what that moron does? They tried to re-encapsulate old history and make it new again.
Yeah. So why don't we play the first clip from Splane's talk? Because he's the first one that gives the talk. So let's play that clip.
So, translators, printers, and Bible students were doing spiritual sight work. And we might say that Brother Russell and his associates put the final touches on that way of holiness. Well, Babylon the Great fell in 1919, and then the way of holiness was opened for travelers. But Brother Russell died in 1916. Did he miss it? Did he miss the inauguration of the road? I don't think so. He didn't have a bird's eye view of the opening of the road. He had a heaven's eye view. Because Brother Russell and his associates who had finished their earthly course, they were able to look down from the heavens. And can you imagine how excited they were when they saw the first travelers set foot on the way of holiness? It must have been very exciting for them indeed. And it wouldn't be surprising if Brother Russell and his associates were firmly involved in the maintenance program of that way of holiness today. Because every good road needs ongoing maintenance. The way of holiness is open, but maintenance on that way of holiness goes on. And what's the goal? It's to make it as easy as possible for people to identify Babylon the Great and to leave Babylon the Great. That is the goal.
Oh my goodness, there is so much packed into that little clip. I mean, good thing I took notes, because it's difficult, to remember everything in there. Well, first of all, before this, he's reading scriptures from Isaiah, talking about the highway that was made between Babylon and Jerusalem. It was going to be cleared of obstacles, and basically Jehovah was going to give them a direct highway straight back to Jerusalem.
Well, yeah, because when you have a trade route, you want the most direct access to, people buying your products, or, so it's just a trade route, you moron.
Yeah, well then, it's like, well, we don't know if they really had a highway, but this is symbolic of the highway to holiness. And apparently this is what this talk is about, this highway to holiness. Well, then you hear the clip, and first he mentions, Russell, was he there for the inauguration of this road? Well, no, he died in 1916. Oh, but him and his associates are looking down, and it's like, how do they know this? Are they still in contact with Russell? And then Russell and his associates are maintaining this highway? Oh my goodness! I know. Then he mentions in 1919, Babylon the Great fell. And, all of these people were able to leave, and Russell and his associates were able to view right from heaven them Bible students get on this road to holiness. Like I said, there is just so much in, just that little clip.
Well, just after hearing this first clip, I can imagine some of the older ones scratching their head and going, "What the fuck, beep?" I mean, what the hell did you say, Splane? It makes no sense. You know what makes more sense than that? Is that I have your songbook straight from the highway to pedophilia. That's what this is.
Yeah.
My goodness. I could rant for a long time on this nonsense, but, well, I had another conversation with Jane Doe this morning, and all my energy went into that rant, huh, Kim?
Yeah, I'm sorry, sweetie. He was wired this morning.
Because if you cannot read that Bible and see that David murdered his brothers-in-laws, you gotta be a complete buffoon. You just gotta be a buffoon if you can read that and not see. David says, "I've never sat with men who hide what they are." No, he did try to hide it. He tried to hide his affair with Bathsheba, and then he tried to concoct the murder of Uriah. People, these guys, this Splane character is cut from the same mold David is. My goodness. They have no empathy for the bull crap that they're spewing right here that's going to destroy people's lives, destroy families. But wait, there's more.
Yes. Let's play the next clip.
Well, take the Bible, for example. There were Bible translations in 1919, but some of them were in archaic language that was hard to understand. And most of them didn't give the divine name the place of honor that it deserved. But now we have the New World Translation. What a blessing that has proved to be. It's so clear. And you don't have to mortgage the house to buy a copy, which was probably the case in the 16th century. And since 1919, there's been an abundance of spiritual food to make it easier for people to come into the truth. Now just think of this. In 1919, Babylon the Great fell. But what else happened in 1919? What provision did Jehovah make for these people? The faithful and discreet slave was appointed in that same year. And the slave didn't waste any time to start producing literature that was going to make it easier for people to come into the truth. 1919, the slave is appointed. By 1921, you have a brand new publication, the Harp of God. And it was especially designed for beginners and to make it easy for people to study and read and come into the truth. And that was necessary because in 1921, there was a shortage of teachers, of publishers who could conduct Bible studies with people. So you really needed something simple.
So apparently in 1919, the faithful discreet slave was appointed, even though at that time there was no governing body. Wrap your mind around that one. And they needed publications to help people when they left Babylon the Great. And he mentions the brand new publication from 1921, Harp of God. Now, most Jehovah's Witnesses, I would dare to say that almost all Jehovah's Witnesses do not have a copy of this book.
Well, that's why they can get away with it, because it only appears to me that there's only a handful of us ex-JWs doing YouTube videos that actually have a hard copy of the Harp of God.
Yeah, now this is the original 1921 version. I believe there was at least one or two more versions, like 1924, 1928, something like that. And they changed some things in there.
Or you mean the light got brighter? As Russell's looking down from heaven, oh, this is part of that maintaining that road, right, Splane? The road has to be maintained. No, in other words, you have to cover for you. Oh, oops, we didn't get this one right.
Yeah. Now, before I get into, I just want to cover just two things in here. There's so much more, and we've done videos about it. But I want to remind everybody that Russell, who started building this highway to holiness, that his divine plan of the ages from his studies in scriptures. It was a pyramid, and it had this divine plan all through the ages. Well, they had to redo that, because Russell was really into pyramids.
He was a wackadoodle.
Well, I was trying to be nice.
Yes, and that is a technical term.
Oh, I know. I use it all the time. But in Harp of God, okay? Remember that phrase, because this is the new divine plan of the ages. And I'm going to get into this. But anyway, in the 1921 original edition, this is what it says. Proof conclusive that millions now living will never die. And you see this. This is the hard copy, right from the original edition.
You know what's so sad about that statement? In 2012, I had my last meal with my mother. She's probably pushing about 80 now. And she said, Michael, I'm going to die and still be in this system of things. Apparently, Mom, you're not one of the millions now living that's never going to die, because you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you believe the nonsense that comes out of the mouth of these charlatans.
Now, in the past, I know one of the videos we did was from page 16 in this book, and it was about the train. And they have the prophecy. It was in the Bible thousands of years before the train came into existence. Yeah, if you haven't heard, that gem, you might want to look. I know the Harp of God is available, online. But I want to read this on page 1112, chapter 1, the Harp of God. Paragraph 4. Josephus, a writer of Jewish history, is authority for the statement that the harp usually had 10 strings. Wait for it. But that at times it was smaller and had only 8 strings. The number 10 is used in the scriptures to symbolize that which is complete or perfect as pertaining to man. We would understand then that the harp with 10 strings pictures the great fundamental truths concerning the divine plan. Oh yeah, Splane, this was a great book.
The divine plan. The back of the songbook's their divine plan.
Going on. When 2 of these strings were absent, there being only 8, the indication is apparently given that there would be a time when 2 important features of the divine plan would not be seen by men. New light.
Two important features.
Going on. God promised that greater light should come upon his word at the end of the age or the end of the world. And oh boy, it has. Which means the social order of things. Since we have reached that time, we confidently look for more light, and thus we find it.
But yet you're going back to the Harp of God in your annual meeting. How is that new light? You're going back to the old nonsense.
Well, you know why? Because they know most Jehovah's Witnesses are not going to go searching for this book, have it. It's no longer in the Kingdom Halls. The only way you can find it is go on online, and Jehovah's Witnesses aren't going to go to apostate websites. If they have old literature, that's an apostate website. So they're not going to do that.
Right, because by nature, my mother is not a good and thorough researcher. She's not. She's going to sit here, listen to this monkey in a suit and go, oh, look, what a blessing from Jehovah. Even though I'm going to die and I was given an empty promise that I wouldn't grow old in this system. I wouldn't be a grandmother in this system. I would live for eternity. And hey, Michael, I'm going to die and still be in this system of things. One of the other things about this divine plan of the ages of the Harp of God is they still picture Jesus dying on a cross.
Yeah, they do. Now on page 114, there's a picture of Jesus on the cross.
So this little road that, Russell is overseeing in the maintenance, apparently maintaining that road includes fabricating a lie, like, oh, Jesus didn't die on a crux, he died on a steros. You manufactured a lie, Watchtower. Checkmate. This game is already over.
So I'm going to repeat, how Splane is saying how great this publication was, helping those leaving Babylon the Great to find the truth. And it was simple, for beginning Bible studies. You open to the title page before you even get into the book, and it says proof conclusive that millions now living will never die. How many of those millions that died wondering, this isn't what I learned?
Well, the problem is now that they have new light, that, the millions now, they have an overlapping death, is what they have. See, millions now living will have an overlapping death. Right, Mom? This game is done. You know what? When I listened to the first part of this, I found it interesting how he was disparaging Bibles at the turn of the centuries and how they had archaic language, hard to read. And look, they didn't put the divine name, yada, yada, yada. But yet, Splane, you came out with this reference Bible with all of the margin cross-reference scriptures. My goodness, what a blessing this was, because now I can find one scripture and then I can use the cross-reference and find another scripture and find another scripture. Go to the cross-reference of those scriptures and do another cross-reference. But yeah, you come out with this great piece of shit and you have less cross-references. Why is that? Why isn't Jehovah blessing you anymore with the use of this Bible? Yeah, you still may have the name Jehovah in it, but you have a whole lot of less cross-references. Is it because too many of us used this Bible with the cross-references and then began to question things? So you had to get this out of our hands, and then you had to force-feed this, which is no good. It's worse than this one.
And I want to mention that the Harp of God was a study book that they did study, because then they came out with these little gems, and these are questions for different parts of the book, and I probably don't have all of them, but I mean, this is where their questions were, like, is it necessary for all the saints to die? Well, back then that meant the 144,000, and they give you the page and paragraph. So, I mean, this was a study book for those newly coming out of Babylon the Great, to find the highway to holiness.
Find the highway to pedophilia, right?
Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
Which is gonna come into play when we go after the new Sofia and Caleb piece of crap cartoon.
Oh, that one, you can tell Mikey, he's trying to talk to, Jane Doe, and I'm ranting and raving, listening to this, and, it's like, I'm sorry, sweetie, I was riled too.
Well, I'm sure a lot of you are wishing you could be a fly on the wall when Jane Doe and I have these discussions.
No, you don't.
No,
you don't.
The thing is it's so obvious now. And after 100 years of Splane and this Watchtower nonsense, it's even more obvious. But yet somebody like my mother, oh, look, the annual meeting. Oh, what a blessing from Jehovah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to die. I'm going to be one of those millions that are going to die before this system ends. They just cannot get it because, well, they're being emotionally blackmailed.
Yeah. So, ready for the next clip?
If you're going to put me through this torture...
Well, you've got a new unopened bag of M&Ms,
Yeah, I'm trying to cut down.
And comparatively speaking, that Harp of God was simple. Now, there were very few publishers in those days, just a few thousand. But they were workers. They did a tremendous job. Do you realize that before the Harp of God went out of print, almost 6 million copies in 22 languages had been circulated? So this is evidence. that maintenance work on the way of holiness had begun right after the road opened. Well, I doubt that very many in this audience have come into the truth through the Harp of God. Anybody here? I don't think so. What publication brought you into the truth?
Don't you feel lucky that we have one of those 6 million copies in English?
Yeah. And of course, Splane is not gonna mention that right in the front title page that it says conclusive proof that millions now living will never die. Well, you know, I really wish we could get Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, to watch a video like this, because, okay, so he's saying how great the Harp of God is, and yet no one in the audience came into the truth through the Harp of God. You know why? Because they're all dead. They were promised. There was conclusive proof that they would not die.
But they already overlapped that by saying millions now living may never die.
Well, that's why they had to change it in the later editions of the Harp of God.
Exactly. Guys, I could do this all day long. I could do this all night long because it's just this easy to debunk these monkeys in a suit.
Well, good, because now that you've had some more caffeine, we have another clip.
Oh, God.
What publication helped you to identify the way of holiness? Was it The Truth Shall Make You Free? Let God Be True? The truth that leads to eternal life? You can live forever? The Knowledge Book? Enjoy life forever? Teach us? What does the Bible teach us? Or is it our fine new publication, Enjoy Life Forever? All of these publications have been used to help people to break free from Babylon the Great. And this is proof positive that maintenance on the way of holiness is ongoing.
All publications have helped people break free from Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great is you, Watchtower. This is why we use these publications. And then he says it's proof positive that this highway to holiness is being maintained. Oh my goodness, it's almost giving me a brain aneurysm.
Well, the problem is about this highway to hell, the highway to holiness, is you have no foundation. If you have to manufacture lies about the cross, your groundwork is no good. By the way, you forgot the mind manipulating book for children, Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. See, this one manipulated children's mind. And yes, Let, you can live forever in paradise on earth. Oh, by the way, when we work out the math, the generation in 1914 will not pass away until all these things, including the start of the Great Tribulation, will have happened. You lied. Your foundation is quicksand. This is so flipping easy to do now. The whole issue is, for you Jehovah's Witnesses, is these men are as dumb as you are because you won't research. These guys know, Splane knows damn well what they wrote here. They know damn well what they wrote here. They knew damn well why they had to get rid of that for this. And after I did my video, they knew damn well they had to get rid of this. Because these men are criminals. Because that's what they're doing. I know, Kim, a few of the XJWs have said, hey, you gotta do a video on what is Pandora's
Files.
Pandora's Files. Really? You really think we need to do a video on that? You can't watch the news yourself and see how corrupt this world is? We've already showed this community that in Australia alone, they were selling off Kingdom Halls and sending the money to Germany to an offshore account. We've shown everybody in the recent past they have They have investments with Pfizer and Moderna, and yet you go and watch Project Veritas, the one they put up real recently, and you'll see how many billions of dollars that you, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids, grandkids are still going to be paying off that debt through taxes. It's a criminal organization.
Well, the whole world is.
Yeah.
But the thing is if they admit that Pfizer made over $15 billion last year net, that's their net amount, okay? Well, then you have to ask, how much did their shareholders, investors get? Now, if Watchtower has investments in Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson,
Moderna,
God. Merck, all of these big, huge pharma companies, how much money are they raking in? Now, I know years ago when we were first leaving in 2012, I believe it was, we knew someone who used to be in the investment department of Watchtower.
Yeah.
And they said it's not uncommon for Watchtower to take in like $900 million in 1 year in investments. Well, we know in 2008, 2009, investments kind of went down the toilet. So, but like now, when their investments are raking in this kind of money, we don't have to do a video on the Pandora files because we already know Watchtower is probably getting involved in offshore accounts. If they're doing hedge funds, which we have proof they've done that, what makes you think that they're not going to get involved with offshore accounts? They've been doing it for years. They transfer money to here, to there. The problem is not every country has where you can follow the money. Just like, I think it was Atlanta sent me a link to the Kingdom Hall Trust. Their latest financial summary. They've taken in like $100 million, if I remember correctly. Well, that was just last year. So, that's just one corporation of Watchtower.
Exactly.
So, the thing is I don't have time to go through a gazillion files looking to see if Watchtower is involved with these Pandora files.
You just know they are.
I know they are. And the thing is they can use one of their corporations that we don't even know what the name of is. They can use one of those corporations and go through this corporation, go through that corporation, go through that corporation, because that's what all of these corporations do. That's why the Mormon Church is under investigation, because that's what they've been doing. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they were in these Pandora files.
Yeah. See, and this is why a Jehovah's Witness like my mother will never see the light to righteousness, because she keeps following and listening and gobbled down this camel crap that comes out of this monkey in a suit, because she can't recognize that when they hear the governing body update on the pandemic, she can't hear that they're parroting word for word for word the same nonsense that comes out of the president's mouth. They are in bed with the political entity. You pick out any one of these magazines from 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and they're doing nothing but destroying the validity of the governments around the world. And now they're in bed. They're being gangbanged by all these governments in the world because they're parroting the same thing the government's saying. It's this obvious, guys.
Well, since you brought that up, I want to mention, I did have someone say, well, you need to do a video about how Jehovah's Witnesses are no longer politically neutral over the vaccine thing. And the thing is, many of you who do not live in the United States may not be aware of this. But here in the U.S., between the media and the government, they have politicized this vaccine and the vaccine mandate. It's become a hot political issue. I'm neutral. I don't care. But the thing is this is what we were bringing out. The elders letter, sit down and shut up. all the videos we've done about these mandates and the vaccine and Watchtower pushing it. Well, we may not have come out and said they are no longer politically neutral, but that's, basically what we were saying. They are in cahoots with the governments.
And that's obvious.
Yeah. Now, before our battery goes dead, I wanted to bring up a few things about the new Sofia and Caleb cartoon. Oh my goodness. I even told Mike, you got to come and see this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, well, let me give you, I don't want to play the whole thing because of copyright, but I'll give you the premise of the thing. It starts with Sofia in a janitor's closet at her school. Yeah, she's hiding in the janitor's closet. And I don't know about any of you, but our janitor at our school always kept his closet locked because kids would come in and mess with it and steal things. So you can't just go into a janitor's closet. This shows how out of touch Watchtower is with reality. But it gets even better. So she stays in the closet, and then the bell rings, and she peeks out and looks around. Nobody's around. She goes to class, and she's late. Class has already started. Well, come to find out, a bully is picking on her. Oh. And so she's really upset, and she goes home, after this bully picking on her, knocking her down in her books and all this, and stomps on her little butterfly, pen, and breaks it all to pieces. Well, her family is telling her how important prayer is. You need to pray to Jehovah for help. There's so many things wrong with that. And I'm thinking, while I'm watching this, you mean like kids praying to Jehovah to save them from the abuse they're enduring?
Yeah.
You want them to believe this, that Jehovah's gonna, how many kids cry out, help me, Jehovah, and nothing is done? Is that the kind of prayer you want, these kids to learn? Oh, well, if you're being abused by someone, you just need to pray to Jehovah and it'll go away. You
And the
need to
bullying
teach them
will stop?
reality. You need to teach them some reality. And the thing is they teach her, how to pray. And then it shows, like Caleb, he's walking down the hallway of his school and he's like, oh, Jehovah, please help Sofia, she's going through a rough time. And then he goes into this little bubble with looks like flames around it, like a little UFO, and he's floating up to heaven. Well, then it shows the parents praying for Sofia, and same thing in a little bubble floating up. Then an elder gets on there and, oh, Jehovah, please help the children in our congregation. Instead of praying to Jehovah, why don't you report these abusers to the police? That might help your children in your congregation. So anyway, I digress. I know, you're waiting to say something.
I know.
But all these little bubbles, it starts showing hundreds of these bubbles of little UFOs, floating up to this bright sun. It's a throne with rays coming out, sun. Must be God. All these prayers going up. And it's like, oh my goodness. So Sofia, towards the end, finally prays to Jehovah for strength. And she has the strength to stand up and say, stop it. Stop being so mean. And, the bully is like, oh yeah, what are you going to do? And she's like, I'm going to tell. And problem solved. Bully runs away.
Well, the bully gets this alleged fearful look. But see, this is the problem with Watchtower, and when you have monkeys in a suit producing this crap. First of all, how is Watchtower not censoring people when they tell the elders, keep your opinions to yourself? You're doing the same thing Zuckerberg is doing. You're censoring your own people. But you know what? You can get away with it because you're going to hold up the Bible and say, oh, look, Paul tells a woman to sit down, shut up, and learn in silence.
Well, we just did a video about the elders' letter, I believe it was September 27th, where they say, any elders giving their personal opinion against the vaccine is a dissenter and causing divisions in the congregation. Well, isn't that Watchtower being a bully?
Exactly.
How do you know these elders aren't praying for strength and saying, Jehovah, help me stand up, and speak my mind? How do you know these elders whose conscience is bothering them for not reporting these abuse cases, how do you know they're not saying, oh, Jehovah, give me the strength to report this, because these poor kids, they need protecting. How do you know you're not shutting them down?
Or better yet, you put this facade that all these prayers are going to Jehovah in behalf of Sofia, and then Sofia all of a sudden gets the strength that says, well, I'm going to tell. What about the abuse victim and the mother that gets hauled into the back room with your bullshit judicial committee, and the daughter and the mother says, well, we're going to the cops. We're going to tell. You guys don't have that fear. All you do is say, well, if you go to the cops, we're going to disfellowship you for bringing reproach on Jehovah's organization. What a bunch of bullshit. But hey, who am I? I'm just a guy that has one single solitary prayer. Would you like to hear it? Oh, Ramalama Ding Dong, please tell me who put the bop in the bop, shabop, shabop. That's the only prayer that I have, because it's this ridiculous when it comes out of the mouth of these monkeys in a suit.
Calm down, calm down, calm down.
Yeah, and I thought I gave all this energy to Jane Doe this morning.
Good Lord.
But this is the problem.
Well, that's the thing. Is we can see the hypocrisy.
Yeah, Watchtower is killing people because of this nonsense.
Watchtower is the bully.
They are the bully,
yeah.
But they deflect onto other people.
Yeah, they want to tell their kids, oh, pray to Jehovah for strength, and your problem will go away. No, because you're still in Watchtower. Your problem will never go away as long as you are in this organization.
Well, the thing is they will never, somebody like my mother will never recognize Watchtower as the bully. Mom, they separated you from me. You can't talk to me without fear of getting disfellowshipped. Why? Because the bully already put it in print. Well, if you talk to a disfellowship one, then you're condoning their moral bullshit, whatever. Guys, it's this flipping easy.
And now, Watchtower is bullying the elders into being quiet. Don't you dare say anything about Watchtower. I would be surprised if Pinkava, the one in the Illinois court case, I will be surprised if he's not disfellowshipped because he said he got bad legal advice from Watchtower. It's in the court documents.
Yeah.
He accuses Watchtower of giving him bad legal advice. See, and Watchtower is not certified to practice law and give legal advice in Illinois. So, that opens a whole can of worms. But how many elders now are going to be saying, oh my God, they're shutting me up?
Yeah.
They're shutting me up. How can I shepherd the flock if they're going to shut me up and censor what I say to someone who comes and asks me a question? They don't realize what they have done. And
well, no.
I hope and pray to God, the source of all, that it wakes up these elders and wakes up even more Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, all they're going to do is pay keen attention to what's coming out of the mouth of, your left purchased, bought off media, and see that Watchtower is parroting the same damn thing because they're all getting money that your great-great-great-great-great-grandkids are going to still be paying that debt off. My God!
Well, what he's talking about is if you go watch the latest governing body update number 8, let in there, I swear he has used the same script as like MSNBC and CBS and some of these others.
CNN, Cult News Network.
Yeah, he's using the same script because what he's saying is exactly what they were saying, except he says we can trust these numbers and statistics because it was brothers collecting this information. Really? Trust your numbers like we can trust your service report? We know those numbers have been skewed for decades.
Yeah.
We can't trust those numbers. You mean trust that you're protecting the children?
Yeah.
We can't trust you with that. I never trusted you to protect my kid.
Well, here's here's the other thing. Okay, you threw the thing out. Guys, I guess this is so simple. Okay? A few nights ago, a Pimo called me from the East Coast and said, my mother told me that, you know, in 2020, there were 247,000 baptisms among Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, so break that number down. How many of those were the children getting baptized? Because, you know, Tony Morris said, what, you're old enough to drive, but you're not old enough to get baptized? Well, do you not see what they're doing? They use coercion. They use lies. They hide their money offshore. If you people cannot see that this organization is criminal, hiding behind the pages of something they call the whole holy highway to heaven, my God.
Okay. Now, along those lines, I just want to mention that even though the article does not say he is a Jehovah Witness, and I know, you know, the society is like, oh yeah, this guy is not a Jehovah Witness. But just think about, this is the type of person that may be coming into the organization. Now, we already know they're going and doing these prison, you know, preaching and studies. So these are the type of people that are coming into the organization. Now, there are several articles, and I've noticed some of the articles have now edited this part out. He found Jehovah and couldn't live with the guilt anymore. I've noticed some of the articles have edited that out, but I did find one that still has it right below the title. But this is Florida man walks into sheriff's office, confesses to killing woman in 2011, officials say. And it says, Benjamin Moulton told Manatee County Sheriff's investigators that he found Jehovah and couldn't live with the guilt anymore. So he has been running around loose. Now think about this. If he was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses and he found Jehovah, so this is someone who's killed somebody, nobody knew he was the perpetrator, and he might be in a meeting. You know, if you're still going to Kingdom Hall, you might be sitting behind him in the Kingdom Hall. He might be looking at you and your kids. You know, this is the type of person. And who knows, when they're doing their prison ministry, who they're bringing into the organization. And we know that sometimes these criminals, they may not always be rehabilitated and have a good heart, you know, and found Jesus. I watch forensic shows all the time, and I don't know how many times a minister, a pastor, a rehabilitated, you know, criminal, they will offend because it's easy pickings. And they know church-going people, religious people, are very trusting.
Well, here's the thing. There's not one Christian religion out there, including the Watchtower Babel Crap Society, that's going to mandate a pedophile to have a little passport card to walk into the Kingdom Hall.
Oh, well, that violates their privacy.
Oh, yeah. You guys not see the shit show this is all about?
Well, the thing is look at, you know, Zalkin has been trying to get their database of these perpetrators. Well, guess what? They don't want to give it because it violates all of their privacy.
It violates their privacy.
Rights. It violates their privacy rights.
Hey,
oh my goodness.
If I was in New York right now, I could not get into a restaurant unless I have my little, vaccine passport. But by God, if I was the pedophile, I could walk right into a Kingdom Hall and nobody would give two shits about it. That's how dangerous these men in a monkey suit are. Wake up, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. So thank you for watching our rant.
And I thought I gave it all to Jane Doe this morning.
Oh my goodness.
You know, maybe one of these days, Jane Doe and I, we should just sit down and do a Skype of our conversations.
Well, actually we have.
Well, yeah, we Skyped with her once. There is a Skype with her on our channel. Yeah.
Yeah, we have once. So, but thank you for watching and listening to our rant, and we're gonna keep plugging through the annual meeting. I'm not sure when they will get it up on jw.org. I'm sure they will. The October JW broadcast is up. I grabbed it. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. The October Elders Letter came out, and I didn't want to take the time to read it because it's like 2 pages and there's only like a little paragraph on the next page, but it's just the same old stuff. And donating money, help those that don't know how to find, the donate button on jw.org. And it's about donations. So,
well, the road they paved is plainly found in the scripture. Morris read it. Don't come to Jehovah's house empty-handed. So, before we conclude, I'd like to offer a simple but effective prayer. Oh, Ramalama Ding Dong, please tell me who put the bop in the bop, shabop, shabop. I just can't live my life until I know who put the bop in the bop, shabop, shabop.
Well, I hope and pray to the real source of all that these criminals will get exposed, and not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but in all of society, all religions, because we know they're in every religion. Just like the televangelist telling his flock that he needs his own private jet because he doesn't want to go on a commercial plane with all the vaccinated people. He wants a private jet. So,
and the Lord will provide.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm sure they're giving him millions of dollars. Just like Watchtower, they did another little spiel. I think it was Aunt Mo now, or one of the other ones, and same thing. Value God with your valuable things. Give, 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 and at some point people are going to say, you know what? I'm done giving to this organization. Just like even as JWs, when the Kobe or P.O. McClure in Oconto Falls, Wisconsin there, did the thing with the lawn tractor. Oh, good, I'm glad, because we already bought it. That was the last time we donated. We didn't donate after that ever. Even though we were still in the organization, we didn't donate one single dime. So how many others? And I know you were talking to Jane Doe this morning, and she said that at one point she quit giving also.
Yeah.
So Jane Doe, maybe you should do a video about that, if you haven't done that already, of when you stopped donating, what was it? Even though you were a JW for a while longer, what was it at that point? So.
Yeah. So if you guys really want an honest prayer, pray to whatever God you want. The divine male, the divine feminine, the pagan god, even pray to Satan. To have some of these men around the world pick their balls up off the floor, reinstall them, and do something about the criminality that's in this world right now. Quit worrying about all of these Pandora papers. Start screaming for men to have their balls again, to put an end to this nonsense, because it's obvious that the men sitting in Congress right now don't have their balls anymore, because everybody's afraid to do something about it. Even the FBI, right, Tulsi Gabbard, they're all afraid to do something about the level of criminal activity on this planet.
Well, maybe it's time then that the men not be in charge and let us women take care of it.
Let all the women
like we do everything else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We can get in there and get this done.
Exactly, because there appears to be that a lot of men have lost their cojones right now.
Yeah.
Even the elders that are being censored by Watchtower. Don't give your personal opinion, brothers. Sit down, shut up, and do and say what comes out of the mouth of the monkeys in a suit. Hey, elders, how come you're ballless? You're men without balls right now.
And the thing is you cannot shepherd the flock if you are being censored.
Right.
How can you possibly shepherd the flock and care for the flock? So you guys should be standing up against this tyranny, the bullies of Watchtower, and say, no, I am not going to shut up. You can remove me. And then just speak even louder. You know, tell the flock what's really going on. Tell the flock about this elder's letter that you're being censored. Tell them. Tell them. Be honest. That's, you know, that's why we just keep shouting from the mountaintop. Be honest about everything, because Watchtower ain't going to be honest about anything.
Well, I'm gonna repeat what James O'Keefe keeps saying with Project Veritas. Be brave and do something. Because if you do nothing, the criminals are going to continue to get more and more emboldened to commit more and more crimes and to hide more and more crimes.
Yeah.
Be brave, elders, and do something. These men are no more appointed by Holy Spirit than Lucifer is.
Yeah. So our battery's about dead. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week.
I know I am. I just got a lot more off my chest.
It's therapy.
It is.
We're loving.
Bye, guys.
Bye.